Hey everyone, Joseph Lavoie here. This week, the Wall Street Journal profiled a little known commodity from Sudan called gum arabic. Haven't heard of this ingredient? Well, start looking at everything you have in the house: red wine, chewing gum, medications, syrups, sugars, paints, and a lot more. Chances are you'll find it. It's a tree sap from acacia trees that has no taste or smell, so it's the ideal ingredient for a lot of food products. But here's the problem. 80% of the world's gum arabic comes from Sudan, and Sudan is in the middle of a gruesome civil war that erupted last year. That war has created the largest humanitarian crisis on the planet. So far, 10 million people have been displaced, 18 million are in need of urgent food assistance, and 150,000 people are estimated to be dead. There are echoes of the last genocide, and it's all incredibly depressing, and it's being fueled by gum arabic. Why? Because this commodity is important to many industries, and these industries continue to gobble up gum arabic. It's such an important commodity that it was excluded from the US sanctions list imposed on Sudan in the 1990s and 2000s. Such an essential good that farmers continue to harvest and sell this product. But guess who's taxing them? You guessed it, the militias on both sides of the conflict, which makes this a big problem for so many buyers that are continents away from Sudan. The problems are big for all the obvious reasons, of course. Which brand wants to be seen to be funding a war by continuing to source Sudanese gum arabic? But as of now, this story is not getting a lot of attention. I predict that changes. I predict the activists will make this the next palm oil. Remember palm oil, right? Of course you do. It has consistently been the subject of global protests for decades due to its environmental and social impact, especially in Indonesia and Malaysia, which account for 85% of global supply. Does that number sound familiar? Remember we talked earlier, 80% of gum arabic is sourced out of Sudan. Palm oil companies have been accused of taking over lands from indigenous communities without consent, and major consumer brands have been implicated in labor rights violations through their supply chain, not to mention the effects of deforestation. Simply put, palm oil has become politically toxic, but it continues to be a widely used ingredient because it's so versatile, which is why many big brands have made hay of sourcing sustainable and deforestation-free palm oil. In other words, it's become politically untenable to stick with the old stuff. Environmentalists continue to argue that the transition from bad palm oil to more sustainable palm oil is not occurring at the rate that they like. And as a result, palm oil continues to be a politically charged ingredient. I think you can see where I'm going with this, right? A new political movement will form. This one will go after any business that relies on gum arabic sourced from Sudan. Who's at risk? Well, just about every industry. We're talking textiles, adhesives, paints, pharmaceuticals, the food industry. The protests are coming.